80,000 people in America alone are dealing with legal abuse. And so we say your ex, at the beginning of every one of these meetings, we say your ex's goal is to wear you down and to bleed you dry financially. And that we have to remember that divorce is a tremendous money-making industry, so it supports that. And everyone is making money, and the only ones suffering are you and your family. And so
hi guys, welcome to another episode of Renewed Minds. It is my pleasure, so delighted to welcome back Lisa and Chris. How you guys been?
Good. We were just saying it's been like 2 years. Can you believe it?
That's incredible.
2 years.
2021. That's incredible. Like, it's just amazing to just see like how like in this time, like what you guys have achieved, and that's part of the reason like I want to talk to you guys to see what the journey has been like from that time when we spoke to like where you guys are at now, because I can see that you guys doing some amazing work within there, got out, and it's just like to me in this space of you know, trying to like help people within narcissistic abuse, it really is a community of people like you and us trying to just reach out and help other people. And I don't believe in coincidences, and even some of the work you've been doing is coincided with I'm sure when I speak on your platform in future, it's coincided with like some things that I've been speaking to people about co-parenting and divorcing. So just I think it's great that we're coming together to just see how, you know, with your platform, we can reach out to people going through this. I know you've got all the statistics, Lisa. Trust me.
I don't have statistics. We just know a lot.
Yeah, but you gave me statistics in the last session. You should remember.
I have one I have maybe two. One, maybe two.
Okay, perfect. So I mean, guys, it's like this really is a real issue, especially in the States. There are like several figures to back it up, like people going through like high conflict divorce, and this is what Been There Got is about, legal abuse. These guys have been through it. I believe it's all about like telling your story, and when you have your story and you're able to use it to help other people, it just becomes even more powerful. And honestly, I'm sure we'll all agree, Chris and Lisa, experience is the best teacher. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's really wonderful. Somebody said to us the other day, we turn our mess into our message. And that's exactly what it was. And there's so much poetic justice for us in taking these horrible experiences that we went through ourselves and turning that into not only a way that is therapeutic for us and helps us to continue to get over the things we went through, but also can get people who are hopefully earlier in the process. I always say to Lisa that if I could go back in time and coach myself from earlier, I could have saved half the $300,000 my divorce cost. I could have saved half the 3 years it took. And who knows how much emotional energy and worry and fear and all that. Well, I can't go back in time and coach myself, but hopefully, Lisa and I can find people who haven't gotten that far down the path yet and help them get through it.
Yeah, it's just like the emotional and financial, like there's several implications to this. And I was even just, you know, like in my outreach to people as well, like recently, I think I told you about it, Lisa, that might refer some people to you just as recently as yesterday. I just decided to reach out to some people that, no, let me just see how they are, just, you know, just generally. And I'm even supposed to have a call with them later today. And he just told me like, you know, I'm going through this divorce thing, like it's taken a toll on me. And I'm like, okay, that's another person that I can refer to you guys. So it really is a massive issue. And if, like you said, Chris, if you can save these people a lot of like heartache and also, you know, the financial cost as well, it can really go a long way. So it's really impressive. You guys are doing a really good thing within this universe. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can just like enlighten me on like just how, since the last time we had that interview, like what you guys are doing now, where you've been, how the journey's been. If you can just anyone if you can just start on that. Yeah, brilliant.
All right, so Chris, I guess I'll talk, which she's used to. 'Cause I talk the most probably.
We're all have our roles in the team.
Right. I know you. So we talked about like what we've learned, and this is now my 9th year in the legal system. So the last time we talked, it was maybe 7 years, and at this point, it's been close to 100 court appearances in 2 states, and it's been about 6 years of successfully representing myself. And when Chris talked about poetic justice, I keep thinking about how I've been slogging along, like suffering and being like, this is so unfair, but yet it's given me the best education ever, because I've had my education in the trenches and be able to move through it. Since the last time we talked, I think my ex was appealing for the 4th time, and I had to go before the appellate court, which is a much higher level than just family court. So not only did I prevail not being an attorney, but the case was so notable that it's published in the Connecticut Law Journal. So now it's legal precedent for the state. Yeah. So now people are actually referring to my case to strengthen their own cases. And talk about karma, like my ex's Connecticut attorney has been telling me for years, Lisa, you just don't understand because you're not an attorney. I'm thinking, well,
limiting beliefs.
I don't know what to say to that at this point. I'm not an attorney, and yet
you were able to do that. Do you know?
And there were so many times, over those, that took years. It took years for her to get to that point. And so many times I'd be sitting in the waiting area outside court, and Lisa would come out with this dejected look and just shaking her head. It got continued again. They gave him another extent, all this stuff. And I kept saying to Lisa, you're a role model now. You cannot quit. And all the people out there who don't have good support, they give up. We always tell people our clients usually don't lose. They just run out of energy.
That's part of the strategy. That's part of their strategy. They want you to run out of energy, isn't it? So guys, they need to be aware of that. And it's just so like inspiring, like your story, Lisa, and like how it just goes to show that, especially when people like place limiting beliefs on you and you can't achieve this, it's like you really need to go after like what you want in life if you're passionate about something. And that's honestly like what I also believe when it comes to narcissistic abuse and healing from that and finding your purpose in life to be able to thrive again with, how you want to like impact and make an impact on the community, on the wider world around you and stuff. But yeah, that's just amazing. And like, so you say like you're certified like high conflict divorce coaches. So can you just elaborate on exactly what that means for people to see how you can assist them on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of what Lisa and I bring to the table in terms of knowledge, we did a lot, both from personal experience, and there are a good number of excellent books out there on this topic, and we have our own Mount Rushmore and all that. I also went through a program, an educational program that sort of, I always tell Lisa, it helped us to figure out how to structure the business and what things to focus on and get organized in the things that we do that are curriculum. Yeah. Most of our calls will start off with our clients saying, how can we help you today? Because it's very crisis driven. If you were to try and book an appointment with us and you look at the calendar, you can have almost any time you want next week, but 24 to 48 hours ahead of time, people are like, I can't find an open slot.
Wow.
Yeah. So we help people with all aspects of getting through it. Most of the people who come to us are already struggling with a divorce that's taking a long time. Yeah. Some are just at the beginning, which is the best time to reach out to a coach because you haven't made those mistakes.
Yeah.
But we get on our coaching sessions and help them execute a strategy that, while it doesn't guarantee success, whatever success means to them, it does give them the best chance, and it helps them find peace with the things that maybe they have to compromise on. It's not about hitting a home run. It's about getting out intact with your children as unscathed as possible and moving on to that next chapter of your life, which can be great. It doesn't feel that way at the time, but it can be great.
Yeah. So I suppose, go on, Lisa. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, so what we said before about their strategy is to wear you down, to make you give up. Like we say, so we started this thing on Sundays about almost 2 years ago now, called the Legal Abuse Support Group.
Yeah.
And it's everyone dealing with this issue. And the statistic I think I might have given you in the past was from an organization called DV Leap in Washington, D.C. They said that 80,000 people in America alone are dealing with legal abuse. And so we say your ex, at the beginning of every one of these meetings, we say your ex's goal is to wear you down and to bleed you dry financially. And that we have to remember that divorce is a tremendous money-making industry, so it supports that. And everyone is making money, and the only ones suffering are you and your family. And so part of our goal, Been There, Got Out, is to teach our clients to learn what's called the marathon mindset. Not just that it's going to take a long time, because everyone's like, what could I do to make it end fast?
A lot of mental strength.
Nothing. Right. So it's going to take a while. So buckle yourself in. But the other part, which we have to attribute to one of our clients for noting this, she said, you don't just teach us it's going to take a long time. You teach us the training that's involved, like understanding what they're doing to us, understanding that every communication is probably going to turn into an exhibit at some point. So have to be really conscious of what you're saying to the other party, knowing that at some point a judge might read it. Building up patterns of behavior over time, like putting together things to make a really solid case, because our people are in court for years and years and years often. And if they get out for a while, then their ex will bring them back. And that's part of legal abuse. I mean, legal abuse, or what's also known as abusive litigation, judicial terrorism, litigation abuse. It's also called stalking through the courts, because the courts become a weapon for that person to do what's called misuse. I'm giving you a definition from the Legal Voice Violence Against Women work group, but abusive litigation or legal abuse is formally called the misuse proceedings by abusers to control, harass, intimidate, coerce, and or impoverish survivors. And so the impoverished part is a big deal, because it is expensive to go to court. I'm not just talking about paying lawyers, but the time that it takes you away from working and parenting and your energy and everything else. There's a tremendous cost. And so one of the things we remind people of, for me personally, is like, I've been doing it for 9 years, and someone's like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. You can, but you have to learn how to turn it into what we call background noise, so that it's not the biggest thing in your life all the time. And we stress often how it's like an emotional roller coaster. There's times where you have to drop everything because you have to go to court. I hate it. You know, our clients hate it, but that's just part of it. And then realize you'll have these ebbs and flows, and then you go back to background noise. But it is really awful to have to live in survival mode a lot of the time.
We've had clients hire us because they couldn't properly use their own therapist, because they were going to their therapist and talking about legal stuff. We've had other clients hire us who said, I'm in a new relationship. My new husband or my new wife is great, but she or he can't deal with all of this stuff. I'm stressing out, putting strain on my new healthy relationship.
And my friends and family.
And friends and family, all those relationships.
Wow.
So it really is critical. We talk about this a lot, that you have a team in place. Let the lawyer do the law stuff. You don't use the lawyer as a therapist. Let your therapist do therapy, and don't talk to your therapist about law, because they don't know.
Yeah. So
family,
there's that cross talk that can happen as well, and it can just get really messy with that. I can presume that. So that even finally answers my question on what exactly is legal abuse, because I believe you've defined that, like, for the audience. It's basically just like taking advantage of the court system and, financially draining you and, draining your energy, which are things that we always discuss, part of what the narcissist is after, just to drain your energy, and being aware of this. And I think when people start to gain an awareness of what's going on, because they might not even think about it, like, in that sense, they might just limit their thinking to just a relationship at home, but it does really kind of extend to the beyond and into the law system and the court system. So I'm so glad the way you defined that, Lisa, for the understanding of everyone and the audience. Which brings me to one of my other questions. Like, in some of your cases, like, how often do you encounter, say, like domestic violence cases? And how do you deal with that? Yeah.
100%.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sense a new definition of domestic violence coming out of Lisa in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, domestic violence, people usually think physical, but
Okay.
one of the other things that has happened since we last talked to you was, I think, I gave live testimony for something called Jennifer's Law, which ended up passing and made Connecticut the third state in America to expand its legal definition of domestic violence to include something called coercive control, which you have already in the UK. So that doesn't just look at domestic violence as physical violence, but it looks at emotional abuse, verbal abuse, legal abuse, isolation, stalking, sexual abuse, something called revenge porn, where somebody says, if you leave me, I'm going to publish pictures of you online, and that'll not just destroy you and your career, but your entire family. So now, yeah, exactly. So all these other kinds of situations are types of domestic violence. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. So now more states here are working on expanding their definition to look at the bigger picture, especially when it comes to safety regarding child custody matters and restraining orders. So it's not just like, did the person hit you? No, what else was going on? Coercive control, it really makes that person dependent on an abuser, and it takes away their freedom. It's considered a liberty crime because they can't just live their life as like a free individual citizen.
Wow, that's really complex and like can be really painful. So like in situations like that, where would you even start from to even start like advising them how they can get out of that? Like, because if you got someone saying, if you leave me, like, yeah, all your photos is just gonna go out there, what do you do? Like, you basically kind of like trapped in a sense.
Yeah, but that's why it's so hard to get out of these relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm also a certified domestic violence advocate, and we learned immediately it takes an average of 7 to 9 attempts to get out. And especially with kids, it is really, really hard. And when people say the question, well, why didn't you just leave? It is so insensitive. They don't realize how hurtful it is, because it is not easy at all. There are so many logistical issues. Financial issues are usually the top reason people stay in these relationships, because they're dependent and they think, I can't function on my own. And the other person is making all kinds of threats. I'm going to take the kids away. You're going to be out in the streets. You're going to be homeless, like all the time, or I'm going to get you. Chris, do you want to talk about what happens when a relationship breaks up and how the day-to-day contact changes?
Oh, yeah. So typically the dynamic in the relationship, it's, as Lisa said, coercive control. It's all about power and control for the one with the difficult personality. But when that relationship ends, that person is finally able to get out. The other party is reduced to typically 3 different ways to get at them. One is money. One, because they typically have control of the finances. One is the legal system. And the third is the kids. And the kids are often caught up in this as pawns.
Which I was even going to ask you about how they use the kids, to weaponize and regain custody. Yeah, that was even what I was going to ask you next. So yeah, go ahead.
Right. So
Chris, you want to talk about that?
Well, I was going to say that's where the people have to focus their energy into those 3 different areas.
Wow.
And it can be really intensive. And we just had a call with a client this morning where the focus of the call was all the different ways, and she's out, she's done. And she's still trying to get into her life through every different, push her buttons, send her messages all the time. We see people who their toxic ex will send 15 messages a day, trying to get under their skin, trying to continue the power dynamic from the relationship.
And they do get under their skin. They do.
They really do. So we spend a fair amount of time talking with our clients about, like, you don't need to respond to that. It's not about the kids. He's just lashing out at you, or she's just lashing out at you.
Yeah. And I suppose like this can even get so difficult in some instances whereby I don't know if you guys maybe have had clients that might say, you know, they might be suicidal and stuff, like just trying to like get this to be relatable to like people that are like going through this. But I'm sure you've had clients like that, because this sounds like it can be just immensely difficult to the point where people are so frustrated they just want to just like end it all. And I've spoken to people just like, you know, in Zoom sessions, and you know, like someone just say, look, I just want to put a gun to my head, like, and just end it all and stuff. So it's just really disheartening to like hear all that and stuff. And like, how would you, in situations like that, how would you look to, you know, at least, because you wouldn't judge them for feeling like that, but how would you now help them to now see reason in trying to get them through that?
We had an interview a while ago, I'm thinking, with a couple, and the man was the victim, and he was talking about, it was his new partner. She of course brought him to us, and he was ex-military, like tough guy type, and he was talking about how it got so bad with his ex-wife, who years later continues to terrorize them. But he said, every day I put a gun in my mouth. And then he, at the end of our interview, he said something like, you have to remember that you shouldn't ever think about a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So what Chris and I focus a lot on is that everything is temporary. It feels like, even when they have like a big loss in court, and they get their kids taken away, we say, that's for now. That's like maybe the worst thing that can happen, but it's not forever, because you can always go back in 1.5 years to 2 years for a modification. People end up in jail. They get their kids back later sometimes. Often we just did a whole thing on restraining orders and false arrest. Like, people think this is the worst thing that could happen to me. I feel so ashamed. But when they get the right support, things come back to them. And people who have had like terrible addictions that have ruined their lives, that think, oh my gosh, if I go before a judge and I have to talk about this, they're never going to let me have my kids again. And then we say, actually, let's talk about what you've done to recover, what you've done to improve your life, because by talking about acknowledging, yes, this happened in the past, but I've worked on myself, you can end up looking better than somebody who didn't have a problem, because you show yourself as somebody that cares enough to improve their lives. And that says a lot about you. So people really need to remember that we have these, just like me in the last 9 years, there's times when I felt horrible. Our clients have felt horrible, but you just have to take it, like we call it the gut punch. And you can be miserable for a while, and then you come back in, like, to our legal abuse support group and talk about it. And other people say that happened to me. We have clients on the verge of homelessness. We had a call a couple weeks ago during a support group. One woman was talking about it, and another client in another country turned on her camera and said, that was me 3 years ago. And you know what? I have my own apartment. I got my own car. I got my kids back. I have my job. Like, it gets better. So it's so nice where it's not just us saying it's going to get better, but a real life example says, I was you and I didn't give up. And here I am still getting support, and I'm going to help get you through this too.
No, that's fantastic. And I think, that's one of the points as well, that ability to self-reflect. And it's something that it's not in the narcissists, like, you know, capabilities. So, I mean, once you're able to do that, it says a lot about yourself as an individual, and the fact that you can there's no end to anyone's growth at the end of the day, so you should always keep growing, and it's a journey. So no, that's brilliant. Spot on with that, Lisa. Thanks for that. And finally, guys, one of the things I also wanted us to talk about was something you guys called strategic communication. And so
all right, Chris, you take over.
So so if you could just elaborate on that.
That's so we spend more time working with our clients on strategic communication than on any other single issue. I would say 40 to 50% of our time is spent on that. And what it really is there are several reasons you want to communicate very carefully, thoughtfully, strategically with your ex. And the first one is that anything that you say, hopefully actually, let me step back a second. We always tell our clients, no undocumented communication. no conversations face to face, no phone calls that maybe the other side's recording it, maybe you're recording it, but judges hate that anyway. It's all got to be in writing, ideally in an app, because if you think about email, when it goes, if you were to send me an email, Madupe, and I reply, you reply, and we get in a fight, I could go down to the beginning and alter the text in my email program of what you said to me. And
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
And you may never notice. But when you use one of the apps here in the United States, like Our Family Wizard or Talking Parents, and there are several others.
Different levels of manipulation.
Those programs won't let you alter text. It's very secure that way. So we always say document as carefully as you can your communications. But when the other party does something, you can turn hearsay into evidence. So you're not going into court saying he didn't give our daughter the medication the doctor prescribed and she got sick. You've got a way to write to your ex and say, I observed this. And we have a whole curriculum on how to do it. It's too much to get into here. But here's what I observed. And when they have a dialogue with you about it and don't deny it, you've got a little piece of evidence you can bring in. So you've turned your hearsay into evidence. But you're also demonstrating, and this is really, really important, because false parental alienation claims are often such a big part of these things. And when you communicate strategically with your ex, you can demonstrate that you're just trying to be the cooperative one. You're just trying to involve him or her in decisions around the children or keep them informed or whatever it is. So that when they go in front of a judge and accuse you of alienating the children from them, you could say that's ridiculous. I have 120 communications from the last year and a half.
Exactly, backed up evidence. Yeah,
exactly right.
Brilliant. Yeah,
and it's really important. There are other benefits too, but those are the two big ones.
No, that's fantastic, and I think it's just this is just so key, and it's actually a blessing that you two have managed to like put this together. It actually is like an amazing work you guys are doing, and it just goes to show that clearly there's like a gap in the market for people to require and have these kinds of services that you guys doing. So I just admire, and it's just inspiring, your story, and I just want you guys to just keep doing what you're doing and then pushing on. And finally, like, how can people get in touch with you, like your services, in terms of what you offer and how you can help them? How can they reach you?
Okay, well, first, before we forget, our book just came out this month.
Okay, brilliant.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
So if you can't get in touch with us, Been There, Got Out, Toxic Relationships, High Conflict Divorce, and How to Stay Sane Under Insane Circumstances. We're having a big book launch, even though it came out in March. We're having a big book launch party in Manhattan in May.
In May. I might be in.
I know, we talked about that.
Yeah. So okay.
So and the Canadian attorney who wrote the foreword to the book is flying in, and then we're actually doing a presentation live. Our Client as Consumer series, we're doing that live a couple days later in Connecticut. But anyway, but how people can find us, really easy. Our website is beentheregotout.com. Been There Got Out on like every social media channel. Instagram is my home. So Been There Got Out with the little underscores between. YouTube, it's Been There Got Out. Facebook, what else, Chris? TikTok, Twitter.
Well, the podcast as well.
Yeah.
We launched a podcast about, it's less than a year ago, about 8-9 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's really got a lot of followers there too. So same thing. You can always, you can find us everywhere. Just type Been There Got Out and Google even. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Or
email Lisa@beentheregotout.com and Chris@beentheregotout.com. Very easy.
That's fantastic. I'm so proud of you guys for that book launch, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to attend that as well. So
that would be awesome.
That would be
awesome. You can say you knew us when.
I know, you knew us when we were nothing.
Exactly. We all have to start from somewhere. Yeah, honestly, and I could just sense it. I just sensed it. I was like, yeah, you guys going places. But yeah, brilliant. So I'll put a link down to so people can reach out to your services, and I'm sure we'll also talk about some things I'm doing in future and how we can I would also bring, because it's a common theme that I'm getting from people as well, how I can also refer people to you that are going through co-parenting difficulties. I'll also be launching like just, episodes just talking about that. And I'll be referencing you guys as well for some help in future should people encounter it. So,
and Modupe, I love that you're from another country, male. Like abuse is a human issue. It is not a gender issue.
It's not specific to any gender, not any race or anything. It happens everywhere. So it's just brilliant that I'm just so happy we were able to like just collaborate together and meet each other. Yeah. So fantastic.
Us too.
Brilliant. So thank you guys so much. I so appreciate it for you guys coming on again onto the channel. That was absolutely fantastic. And I'll see you on your platform.
Yes, our pleasure. Thank you.